All right, everybody. Thank you for being here again today for week 2 of the Best Darn Marketing Podcast ever. Today, we're going to talk about something that I feel is truly one of the most important aspects of your business. It's something that if you get this one thing down, everything else seemingly just falls into place. But if you're not doing this, no matter how much work you're putting in, it seems like nothing will ever just go quite how you want it to. And you'll find that it's going to take a whole lot more effort from you personally. And that thing is that we need to get down to make everything work: leadership. Whether you had thought about it or not, whether you wanted it or not, whether you were ready for it or not, that's all irrelevant, because you became a leader as soon as you took the first step towards starting your business. From that point on, you have to lead. As soon as that pen touches the paper and you become that business owner, now there's a building process to go through, whether it's building a website or a store or whatever. There's all sorts of stuff behind the scenes and the legal aspects and getting your LLCs put in place and all of that. There's having to put products on your shelf for one of the other 9 million things that need to be done to get you to open your doors. You have to lead through that entire process. So we're going to start in a very simple spot. And I'm sure that this is something that you know, but just in case, I'm going to throw it out there and tell you anyway. If you do already know, awesome. This is a great reminder. It's a good thing to hear. Like, keep you balanced and centered in your mind. If this gives you an aha moment where you go, well, I never even thought about that, then I'm happy to provide that for you. And I'm glad that you gathered something from this. So here we go. If you're listening to this, you're a leader. Simple as that. Now, being thrust into a leadership position doesn't necessarily mean you're a good leader, but good or not, you're in that position and you are leading a team and you're leading that store and you are the leader. Now, this is going to be a little bit of a quote heavy podcast, but I figure these are people that have been known to be great leaders, and some of them have been dead for hundreds of years, and we still talk about how, man, that was a great leader. That guy really knew how to, gather people and lead people. And if we've been saying that about them for 100 years, it's worth listening to what they had to say. So in that, I've done a lot of studying, I've done a lot of looking, I've done a lot of research into what a leader is. But what I want to start with is what a leader isn't. So we can call it semantics, but really I believe that it's an important distinguisher to understand that managers and leaders are not the same thing. They're not words that can be used interchangeably. Rear Admiral Grace Murray Hopper once very simply stated, you manage things, you lead people. You manage your inventory, you can manage your maintenance, your marketing, all of that, but you lead your team. As a whole, you don't manage your store, you lead your store. You aren't hiring general managers and assistant managers and shift managers. You're hiring leaders. But leadership is a trickle-down thing. If somebody above you isn't a great leader, it's going to make it very difficult for you to become a great leader. But if they are, they're going to elevate you. They're going to pull you up. And that's what we're trying to do, to get you to lead the people below you. They can lead the people below them, and it will just roll right down that line. So let's jump in first to what makes a great leader. When we look at some of the greatest leaders in history, the one consistent string is a certain set of traits, or it's a combination of things that makes other people want to get on board with what that person is doing. It doesn't matter what sphere it's in, whether they're a business person or a politician or a teacher or an activist or whatever. If you look at great leaders, they're all going to hold a certain set of attributes, and they're going to live them to the fullest extent, and it's going to permeate who they are as a person. Now, I'm sure that many of them were born with these traits, but I guarantee that many of them made it a point in their lives to learn these, practice these, and perfect these. In fact, Warren Bennis actually said the most dangerous leadership myth is that leaders are born, that there is a genetic factor to leadership. That's nonsense. In fact, the opposite is true. Leaders are made rather than born. So this set of attributes, this is what makes them effective leaders, because it makes people want to follow them. And that's the hugely important thing about what a leader is. It makes somebody want to follow you. Johann Wolfgang von Goethe said a great person attracts great people and knows how to hold them together. Dwight Eisenhower said leadership is the art of getting someone else to do something you want done because he wants to do it. The purpose of being a leader is getting people to follow you and to do what needs to be done because they want to do it. These leaders all share these attributes that we're about to go over, and people willingly followed them because they wanted to. A leader isn't somebody who talks the loudest or pushes the hardest or cracks the whip most often. It's somebody that people get behind and follow on their own will because they can see that this person's got it figured out. Now, these attributes, I've boiled it down to 9 that I feel really encompass who a leader is, and I'm sure you guys can come up with others. And honestly, I would love to hear them from you. So feel free to email them to me at matt.barrett@puredriven.com because I do want to always be learning. So if there's something that you can educate me on, or if you say, hey, I really think that, your leadership thing was off, it's really this or this or this, send it to me. I would love to know that. I'd love to dive deeper into it. I strive to try to grow in leadership every day. And if you can help me out with that, then I'll be eternally grateful. So please send those my way if you disagree. We're going to spend just a couple of minutes on each of the 9, but ultimately these are things that I could really divide each one of these things up into 2 or 3 podcasts just for that one topic, and spend a lot of time really diving into each of these. So that tells me 2 things. 1, this podcast is going to be a little bit longer than I would normally want it to be, probably 25 to 30 minutes, somewhere in there. And 2, we're still just going to scratch the surface. So it's going to require that you guys put in some time on your own to study it, dig into them, learn how to improve in each of them, and really take this becoming a better leadership on your own shoulders. I'm just going to point you in kind of the right direction, smack you on the hindquarters and say, go. But that's really all I can do at this point. The rest is going to have to be up to you. I'm sure sometime in the future with podcasts, we'll start diving into each of these. But for now, the best I can do is just aim you and let you go. So without that, let's jump in here, guys, and look at the first one of the 9. It's something that's fairly self-explanatory, but at the same token, it can be very uncomfortable. And that is, a great leader is inherently honest. And I'm assuming that we all run our business with honesty and integrity at its core. I'm not talking about not cheating people out of money. But what I mean is being honest and open with your staff. While not always the easiest road to take, and in fact, I'd venture to say that more often than not, it's not the easiest road to take, being open and honest with your team will have a very positive impact within your store. If there's a problem with something that's happening, being honest with that core team can help produce a faster response, it can fix it better, and it can even avoid those issues completely in the future. Now, I do want to take a step back. I'm not telling you to send out an email to everyone in the company every time something's got you a little bit worried. Obviously, we do need to, have some bit of a shield here too. But the people that you've placed into leadership positions with you need to know you. They need to know why something is important to you. What sort of an impact can this have if we do it really well, or if we don't do it really well? How is this going to affect everybody else in the team? And then why does it need to be done immediately? What is the importance of doing it right now? If we can share that with our core team, they take some stock in that, and they are able to then go out and do their job with the understanding as to why. Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, I'm not real good with this, because when I'm not a natural leader. I'm one of the people that's having to try to learn it. And with that, when I need something done from somebody, I don't always want to have to explain myself. Sometimes I just want it done because I said so. It's the classic dad answer. I've said it to my 3-year-old 100 times, because I said so. Just go do it. But that doesn't really work. Leaders don't say because I said so. So take that out of your vocabulary, and let's move on from that, because this honesty and this openness is something that's really important within your team. And what it will do is it will lead to growth on a personal level also. No. The other thing that being honest and open can do for us is it can lead to growth on a personal level. If you do evaluations within your store, be honest on them. And I'm talking like brutally honest. Tell them what they need to hear, not necessarily what they want to hear. And this will produce that personal growth in each person, which will then produce movement within the company, which is what we're trying to do. A good leader is honest, always. It's as simple as that. A good leader is always honest. They're open. They will talk to their core team about what's going on. Why are we doing certain things? They'll bounce ideas off of them, but they will be open within that core team. So find people that you trust, that you know can do what you need done, and be open and honest with them. The second thing that we're going to dive into here, another uncomfortable one, the ability to delegate. Now, I've got some bad news for you, so brace yourself here for just a second. You can't do it all. And I know that sucks to hear. And again, for me, for somebody who's not that natural leader, who's really trusting to say, you go do this and you go do this. And for me, it's taken me a long time to learn to trust other people or people that work with me enough to take things off my plate. I would rather do it myself. I know I'm going to do it the way that I want it done in the time frame that I want it done. I can do it. But you know what? By allowing other people to help and by delegating these tasks, it produces a couple of different results for me. First, trust is always repaid with trust. By showing trust in the leaders that you've put into place and that you've told them that you think they can do this, they in turn grow a deeper trust for you, which is crucially important for a leader. You guys can be the best leader in the world, and if they don't trust you, nothing's going anywhere. So showing them that you trust them inherently grows their trust in you. The other thing that it does, and this is fairly self-explanatory, but it's worth saying anyway, it frees you up to then lead the team. It frees you up to then lead the team. You're no longer doing things that others are perfectly capable of doing. You've removed yourself from that situation. The jobs are still getting done, and now you have time to focus on the bigger picture items to steer the ship to make sure that we're headed to the moon. Now, as you delegate, keep in mind to delegate towards strengths. And what I mean is pay attention to who you're delegating what to. For example, I'm an extremely disorganized person. Now, it's a fault of mine. I've learned to deal with it and accept it, but it is what it is. If Chris, my boss, came to me all of a sudden and told me to keep a very strict record of customer accounts, purchases, inventories, revenues, all of that stuff in a notebook, give it to him at the end of the month, that would be a major mistake on his part because that goes against my strength. I wouldn't even be able to keep my hands on the notebook to give back to him, much less have any information in it. However, I'm extremely good with people. I love interacting with people. I love meeting people and just getting that face-to-face opportunity. So if he needs somebody to go out, meet clients, spend some time learning about them, their company, their store, who they are, what makes them tick, I'm the guy. As a leader, know the strengths of your team. You already should know the strengths of your team. Let them do what they're good at. And then you can take a step back, focus on taking things to the next level, knowing that the things you've delegated are getting done. You can't do it all yourself. A good leader will delegate properly to the right people. Number 3 on our list of strengths and abilities that leaders need to learn to cultivate is communication. And if we look at our list of leadership qualities, I think that you're going to find that all but really just 1 or 2 will completely fall apart if we're not effectively communicating. And I'm not talking just about the ability to speak clearly. I mean, that's definitely a major part of it, but that's really only about half of it. Communication starts with the ability to listen. If any of us have ever been involved in any sort of sales opportunity or had any sort of sales job, you'll all know the mantra of, God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. We should listen twice as much as we talk. There's really very few things out there in the world that are more true than that. Communication cannot happen without active and productive listening. And I'm not talking just hearing, but actually listen. Understand what they mean. What are they trying to convey? If we don't get what their need is, it doesn't matter how well we can clarify our point, communication isn't going to happen. And we've all had that before where I think I'm answering your question, you think you're answering my question, nothing's getting answered and everybody's getting frustrated because neither one of us was listening to the other person. We're just simply saying what we want. So as far as communication goes, and again, communication ties this whole leadership thing together. As far as communication goes, the first thing you need to do is listen. The second thing with communication, you need to listen. The third thing you need to do with communication, any guesses? Wrong! You gotta listen. When it finally becomes your time to talk, that's when the ability to speak clearly and to make sure that all of what you're saying has been understood becomes so important. Effective communication is your best way to ensure that projects stay on task, your expectations and goals are understood and that they're going to be met. Issues will be kept to a minimum, and when they do come up, they'll be able to be dealt with easily. And your staff will feel empowered to go and just do what needs to be done because they know exactly what needs to be done because the communication was solid. They understand why they're doing it, what the end result needs to be, how it needs to be done, when it needs to be done, all of that. You can save yourself a ton of headache if you just take a step back, ensure that all of the communication was correct, and then you push on forward. Even the ones we look back at now and regard as evil, and a lot of them were, looking at you, Hitler, you still can't take away that they were phenomenal communicators. JFK, Martin Luther King Jr., any leader you choose, I promise you'll be able to look at them and say, He was a great communicator. She was a great communicator. Now, before I jump into number 4, blah, 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 I know this can get to be a little dry, a little long, so I wanted to just take a minute here to have the opportunity to just kind of break it up a little bit. I'm going to give you a couple of random nuggets of information that you might not have known before. Let's see what we can find here. The average woman uses her height in lipstick every 5 years. Interesting. Did not know. A flock of crows is known as a murder. Didn't know that either. We'll do 2 more. Let's see here. Banging your head against a wall burns 150 calories an hour. Interesting. Lastly, the person who invented the Frisbee was cremated and made into Frisbees after he died. That one's morbid and weird, but I kind of like it. Funny. Okay, number 4 for the effective leadership is confidence. And again, these all seem so self-explanatory, and you go, yeah, that makes sense. But if we don't actually think about it and take time to dive into each of these and to learn and become very good at each of these, it's easy to pass over it. Confidence. Who is going to follow somebody that doesn't themselves think that they're going to make it? If I'm here to climb Everest and my guide is going, oh, shoot, man, I don't think we're going to do this. That's such a high climb. That mountain's really tall. I'm not feeling good about that. I'm not going to climb with him if he's not going, yeah, we got this. Let's rock and roll. Here we go. As the leader of your team, it's your job to, in any situation, keep a cool head, deal with whatever's going on, and maintain your team morale. We've all heard the Benjamin Franklin quote, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And you'll find that this is spot on for the morale of your team as well. If it drops, it's a whole lot harder to lift that back up than it would have been to just mindfully maintain it in the first place. Again, head up, chill out, stay cool, rock and roll. It's all going to be fine. Keep your confidence. You're good. You're good at what you do. Just rock on. This is important because your team feels how you feel. If something doesn't go according to plan and you feel like the ship is sinking, so do they. So do they. And that's something that I don't feel like a lot of us think about often. They're going to feel the same way. If you keep your head up and you say, all right, that was unexpected, but we're still floating. Let's fix the problem. They're going to be ready to get to work with you. They're going to feel how you feel. As you exude confidence, people will naturally be drawn to you. But the biggest impact confidence will have is to keep that team working and moving forward in every situation. If you handle everything like a rock star and just keep on trucking, the people behind you will be moving with you too. A good leader is confident in who they are and what they do. Number 5 on our list of attributes that good leaders carry, commitment. This one is possibly the hardest of them all because this one actually requires potentially something physically on your part. John Maxwell, one of the greatest leadership teachers alive, said, a leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way. He also said, a manager says go, a leader says let's go. If you'll notice, and if you look back at all the great leaders, they're not sitting on top of their pedestal or, up on their throne, pointing down saying, go do this, go do this, go do this. This is the part that we all knew it was coming, and it kind of sucks. To be an effective leader, you have to get up, get in the trenches, and duke it outside along your team. Nothing, and I promise you, nothing will motivate your team more than seeing you in battle right alongside them. They'll work as hard as you are, if not harder, to try to outwork the boss, and you'll earn their respect by hopping in the ring. Shelves need to be stocked. Get out there and stock them. Someone calls in sick, maybe you're the one to go in. You don't just leave them hanging. Let them not just hear you say what needs to be done, but let them see what you're saying to them is important. Lead by doing. Commit that you're going to do whatever needs to be done. Your reputation will grow, and the more that your reputation within your team grows, the more respect that they're going to have for you. Your reputation will grow, and the more that grows, the more respect that the team is going to have for you, and the more that they're going to want to deliver the highest quality of work for you. Get in there, get your hands dirty. A good, strong leader commits to being part of the team. They're there when they need to be there. They're in the trenches. They're fighting. Now, a quick side note that can seem like it counteracts what I talked about earlier with the whole delegation thing. Don't get in the trenches at the expense of keeping the high-level direction of the team moving. Be honest with yourself. If there's an opportunity where the team has a need that you can fill, get down there and fill it. But don't jump in the trenches if you've got reinforcement standing in back. Again, shelves need to be stocked, or your clothes need to be put back out. Whatever the situation is, if you've got people standing around, let them do it. But if everybody is swamped and things need to be done, hop in there, man. All right, guys, we're at number 6 now. We're just about 2/3 of the way through our list, so we're getting there. Thank you for bearing with me. Again, Promise you this is important. It's worth hearing about. It's not the most exciting topic in the world, but I promise you it's worth listening to. It's worth hearing about. Number 6, keep a positive attitude. And the more that I talk about this, even the saying, fake it until you make it, comes into my mind. Positive attitude plays along with confidence. But remember earlier when I had said your team feels what you feel, that applies here as well. Again, right along with confidence, they're feeling the same way that you feel. If you're all doom and gloom and they can see that, they're going to be doom and gloom too. And good luck getting them to work for you and pull you out of whatever situation you're in if they feel like it's hopeless. There's no point in working for something that's clearly not going to be successful anyway. It's not going to work. They need to look at you and see that you have this. Even if you're panicking on the inside, you have to exude that positive attitude and that confidence. But beyond them catching your positive attitude, because that will happen, but be intentional. Instill a positive attitude within them. Positive attitudes within your business are going to keep your energy levels high, and high energy levels are going to produce a higher level of work. Make work fun and exciting. And that's going to look differently for everybody because your personalities and your business and all of that are going to affect how we go about that. But if you make work fun and exciting, you're not going to have anywhere near the difficulties finding somebody to cover a shift or to stay late to finish a task or anything like that if people don't hate their job. And that's really what this boils down to. Keep a positive attitude within your store. Keep everything good and moving in the right direction, and everything will work more smoothly. However you go about it, whether it's bringing food in for everyone, playing a harmless joke on somebody, and again, I stress the harmless part. Take a few minutes to just laugh and enjoy each other's company. Take the team out after work. Whatever. If it's a place where they enjoy being, growth will follow, and I promise you that. Now, I do have another disclaimer on this one. Don't make it fun, obviously, at the expense of productivity. Find a way within your company to do both. At the end of the day, we are still here to get work done. We just want you and your team to enjoy doing it. Keep that positive attitude in the store. Keep everything on the up and up. Keep everything looking forward. Make it fun. Make it enjoyable. More work will get done. I promise. All righty, guys. For number 7 on our list of attributes that a good leader has to have, it's creativity. Now, I'm not talking about, being good at painting or playing the flamenco guitar or whatever. I'm talking about when a monkey wrench gets thrown into a plan, be ready to come up with something else, roll with it, and go. Sometimes the decisions we make don't work out like we want, and you need to be ready for that. Understand and be prepared that something's going to go wrong because it is coming. So a couple pointers on this whole creativity aspect. Again, the biggest thing to remember is it is coming, but a few other littler things beneath that. Right now, when that monkey wrench gets thrown in and something didn't work like we thought it was going to, your team is looking at you right now more than ever. So remember, we're confident, we've got our positive attitudes, make a timely decision, act on it, and let's keep rolling. Another thing to remember, sometimes the lesser of two evils is all you get. There's not always going to be a great option. It's your job to choose the best option and make something happen. Number 3, oftentimes the first or the easiest route isn't necessarily your best option, so don't just jump immediately. Don't make that reactive decision. Take a step back, talk to mentors, talk to whomever, look at what else is out there, gather all the information, make your best decision, and go. That being said, you have to make a timely decision. If this is something that a decision needs to be made in 4 minutes, we'll collect as much information as you can in 4 minutes, make the decision, and go. But make sure that you take the time that you're allotted to gather that information to make sure that we're not just reactively jumping in. And then 2, turn to your team for guidance. Again, showing trust in them builds trust in you. Plus, there's a good chance that they're going to be able to shed some light on something and help you come up with the best plan. Don't be afraid that just because something went wrong and it's your decision to make, that you now have to make it on your own. You don't. Feel free to turn to your core team again and just ask them, all right, what do you guys think? Where do we go? All right, guys, we've got 2 more to go through, but again, I do want to break this up as best I can, so I'm going to take just 1 minute to celebrate the fact that my beloved Green Bay Packers have re-signed good old James Jones to help fill in the hole that the devastating loss of Jordy Nelson was. Not that we were ever off track to win the Super Bowl, but I know you guys are just as excited as I am that we've taken one more step closer to solidifying that. I'm stamping it now. Super Bowl champs of 2015. Rock and roll, go Pack, go. I know that you guys are all just as big of Packer fans as I am. So thank you. The family is ready to rock. Here we go. Number 8 on our list, guys, is intuition. This is something that, again, some people have it naturally better than others, but everybody can cultivate it, learn it, and become better at it. Now, I would love to tell you that I've got a roadmap on how to take your business and how to make it successful, but I don't. And you know that I don't, because if I did, I wouldn't be sitting here doing a podcast. I'd be sitting on the beaches of Maui. Life happens, and anything and everything can change literally in an instant. We've all experienced it or know somebody who's experienced it, that, a medical diagnosis or a car accident or the stock market crashing, that changes things right now. And we maybe didn't see that coming. And this is where your gut needs to take over. Okay? Your intuition. You can talk to your team for an eternity. You can reach out to mentors. And again, those are both good ideas. We talked about being creative and talking to other people. But ultimately, that decision is yours and no one else is going to make it. Keep your head on, listen to your gut, and go. Now remember this, the most important person that you can trust is you. Do your due diligence, gather as much information as you can, be creative in coming up with solutions, but ultimately it's your call to make. Trust yourself, whatever feels right. That little voice inside of you, it's there for a reason. Trust yourself and go with it. A good leader has intuition and they're ready to make a decision. And lastly on our list, guys, but certainly not the least important, and this is again something that others are born with it, but this is learnable, the ability to inspire. And in fact, I would make an argument to say that this is probably the most important factor of a leader, because even if you've got everything else on this list down to a T and you've got everything else right, you're great at making decisions, you're intuitive, you roll with your gut, you talk to your team, communication is great. If you've got all of that there, but nobody is inspired to walk with you, then you've got nothing. Okay? If you can't inspire others to see what the goal is, what the dream is, what do you see, everything else is irrelevant. A great leader inspires. If you can implant in someone a dream, a goal, or a desire to grow and improve, you've done something incredible. Owen Woodward said, average leaders raise the bar on themselves. Good leaders raise the bar for others, but great leaders inspire others to raise the bar on their own. That's huge. Learn to inspire other people to get to where they should be. Without inspiration, we've got nothing. All right, guys, so that's it. That is our attributes of a leader. The ability to inspire, to get somebody to grow because they want to. The intuition to make a decision, roll with what your gut tells you. Creativity to make sure that as you're making those decisions, you've come up with all of the different options that you've got, that you've come up with the best case scenario that you've got to roll with. They're committed to the team, to be in the trenches with them. They're fighting alongside of them. They've got the confidence and the positive attitude to exude to their team. We got this. This isn't that bad. We're in a good spot. Let's keep fighting. They communicate well, they delegate well, and they're honest. There you go. That's what makes a leader. Go and do likewise. Thank you for your time today. I appreciate it. Again, look for our podcast next week. I'm excited to get to share that one with you too. Go Pack, go.